Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the How Good Is series. The series where we look at individual weapons or items that have been implemented into a Call of Duty game and answer the question, how good are they? Last week we looked at the Peacekeeper that was recently put into Black Ops 4, and today we are looking at another one of the new weapons that have been put into the game, the S6 Stingray. This is absolutely one of the most controversial weapons put into the game as of late, and you're going to see why throughout the rest of this video. In this video, we are going to be looking at all of the weapon stats, attachments, best class setups, and answering the question, how good is the S6 Stingray? And of course, by the end of this video, since this weapon is only available through reserves, we're going to be answering the question as well, whether or not this weapon is pay to win. And while we're talking about that, I thought I would bring up the fact that you may have noticed that at the very beginning of this video, this is not my gameplay. And the reason why is because I wasn't lucky enough to get this weapon out of any reserves normally, or out of my weapon bribe. And because of that, I am not going to go and buy any reserve crates, because the system that they currently have implemented is retarded, so I'm not spending my money there. And I would recommend that you don't spend your money there as well, because your odds of actually getting one of these weapons are like basically winning the lottery. So like I said, I don't recommend spending any money on them. However, my friend who's immortal actually was lucky enough to get this out of his weapon bribe, and he was nice enough to give me some gameplay, test out the stats on the weapon, and that is what we have today. I'm going to link his channel down in the description. Check him out. He makes really good Call of Duty videos, and if you're interested in it, go say I said hi, tell him that I sent you, and yeah, without further ado, let's dive in. Let's answer the question, how good is the S6 Stingray? So first of all, by watching this gameplay, you may have been able to notice that this is not a normal weapon. You don't shoot bullets out of this weapon. As you can see here on the wall, this is what you were actually shooting out of this weapon, and because of that, this weapon has bullet travel time, which means to aim correctly at your target, you might actually have to lead your target a little bit, which makes this weapon a little bit more difficult to use. However, there is definitely, as you're going to see throughout this video, ways that it makes up for that, mainly with its absolutely bonkers stats. We'll get to that, but let's start off with the biggest one, the damage. So the damage on this weapon is 62 damage up close, 54 at short mid-range, 46 at mid-long range, and 38 at very long range. This is going to range from a 3 to a 5 bullet kill, and for the most part, this is a very similar damage profile to the Auger with a little bit less range. And the reasoning for that is because this weapon is actually a 2-round burst weapon. There's no other weapon in the game like it. So as far as how good is that damage profile, it's pretty good. It's one of the best in the game, but you're also using a weapon that's not a hit scan weapon. You actually have to lead bullets with it. And because of that, it kind of evens it out. However, where this gets absolutely squirrely is when we look at the operator mod. Basically, the operator mod on this weapon makes it so that every bullet that you shoot, it shoots an explosive and deals more damage. You don't have to hit them in the head like high caliber. You don't have to hit them in the upper chest like high caliber 2. You just have to hit them. And this doesn't just do a little bit more damage. This does an absolute ridiculous amount more damage. So the damage profile when using the operator mod is 86 damage, 70 damage, and 62 damage. And that 62 damage is at a very, very long distance. Now that 86 damage up close is very important because that means it's only a 2-bullet kill. And remember that this weapon is a 2-round burst weapon, which means it only takes 1 burst to actually kill someone. And that's not just for a short range. In fact, it's going to be a 2-round kill up until this range, which is insane, but it gets even more insane when you look at it with long barrel. So if you put the operator mod on with long barrel, it's a 2-round burst up until this range. And I know I got a headshot there, but I promise you with long barrel, it is still a 2-shot kill, even if you don't get a headshot there. So already pretty crazy. Just with that damage profile, pretty damn insane. Very few weapons are a 2-bullet kill in this game other than sniper rifles. So pretty damn insane. But it gets crazier. And where it gets crazier is with the rate of fire. So the rate of fire of the first 2 bullets that come out of the gun, because remember, it's a burst fire weapon, is 1,800 RPM. No, you didn't hear me wrong. Yes, it is ridiculous. However, it's made up for with burst delay. And with burst delay implemented, the rate of fire goes down to 487 RPM, which is much more understandable. However, you may remember, as we talked about before, if you have the operator mod on, you can kill someone in 2 bullets. So when we get to time to kill, there is one time to kill that is just bananas, but we'll get to that in a second. Because there is actually a way to make the fire rate on this weapon even better, and that is of course with the attachment rapid fire. So on this weapon, rapid fire doesn't actually increase the fire rate of the 2-round burst. That stays the same at the same ridiculous fire rate of 1,800 RPM. However, it does decrease the burst delay, which makes the overall fire rate 525 RPM instead of 487. And personally, I think that this is worth it on this weapon, just because if you miss 1 bullet, which is very easy to do because you have to lead your targets, then it makes up for it a little bit faster. So I think rapid fire is pretty good on this weapon. So the normal time to kill on this weapon with absolutely no attachments is 246 milliseconds up close and 492 at the very longest range. That's at the 5-bullet kill. And if you do it with rapid fire, it's 229 and 457. So as you can see, just a little bit better with that rapid fire. And to be quite honest with you, these are very reasonable time to kills in this game. They're actually worse than the auger with high caliber by quite a bit. So reasonable, completely reasonable. However, what is not reasonable is the time to kills with the operator mod. So with the operator mod, it's going to be 33 millisecond time to kill up close. No, you didn't hear me wrong, 33 milliseconds. And then at the very longest range, 246 milliseconds, or with rapid fire, 229 milliseconds. To give you an idea how freaking ridiculous this is, a human can only really react as fast as 120 milliseconds. So 33 milliseconds is like a quarter of that. So it just shows you how ridiculous this time to kill actually is for a weapon that's not a one-shot kill. And keep in mind, that's not just a 33 millisecond time to kill right up close and personal. It's a 33 millisecond time to kill up until this range. So moral of the story, if you have this weapon, use the operator mod on it. It is just ridiculous. And I'd be willing to bet that if more people actually had this weapon, this thing would have to be nerfed, because that is just a stupid good time to kill. And like, just to give you an idea how good that is, I believe the next fastest time to kill for a weapon that's not a one-shot kill is the auger with high caliber, and it's 132 milliseconds. This is 33. Now moving on in the stats, the next stat is the magazine size. So the magazine normally is 26 rounds. With hybrid mags, that is bumped up to 36 rounds, which for a weapon that kills in so few bullets is actually a really good magazine size. And with that magazine, you're going to be reloading in 1.5 seconds or 1 second on the dot with hybrid mags. The interesting thing about this is this reload speed is not in line with attack rifles, but more in line with the assault rifle. So once again, another good stat for the Stingray. And to finish things up, we've got the aim down sights and sprint time, both at 250 milliseconds. This is basically the best out of all of the assault rifles, so once again, another best-in-class stat. The ridiculous part about this is that every single stat we've looked at on this weapon is out of this world good, either best-in-class or better, which is absolutely insane, especially when you implement that operator mod, and then it's just completely bonkers. So the question is, if the weapon is that good, why would Treyarch put it into the game if they knew it was that good? And I think the answer to that is, since it's not a hit scan weapon, it's a bullet travel time weapon, I think they thought that it would be too hard for people to use, so they made the stats really ridiculously good on it. So if I was to nerf this weapon, the things that I would do is I would first of all increase the ballistic travel time. In other words, it would take longer for that ballistic to fly through the air and hit someone, and it would make it more difficult to use. And I might, on top of that, depending on how much they reduce it, reduce the fire rate as well, because 1,800 for the first 2-round burst is stupidly fast. So maybe those two things. Now, as far as a best class setup, this right here, what you're looking at, is, in my opinion, by far the best class setup. You're going to use long barrel, rapid fire, and then the operator mod. This is going to give you the fastest theoretical time to kill for the longest distance. And like I said, that time to kill is 33 milliseconds. You're absolutely going to melt people. And then, as always, I like to use stim shot, engineer, gung ho, and dead silence. That's just all of my classes, so nothing special there. Now, the one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that with the operator mod, Flak Jacket actually counters it, so it just brings it back to its normal time to kill, as if you were just shooting a normal bullet that doesn't explode. But still, the majority of players are generally using either engineer or tac mask, so really the Flak Jacket isn't a huge worry when using this. Then the second class I will give you is essentially if you don't have the operator mod unlocked. It is long barrel, rapid fire, and then hybrid mags and stock. Hybrid mags makes you reload faster, have more bullets, and that stock is going to allow you to strafe fire a little better. Then as far as perks, I only am able to get 2, so I use gung ho and dead silence. Now, the other really good thing about this weapon that I haven't mentioned yet is that it has a built-in optics. It kind of gives you a built-in 2x scope, which means you don't really have to use a red dot or anything like that, so it frees up a position in your creator class as well. All in all, both of these classes are good, but the operator mod one just blows it out of the water. So this leads to the question, how good is the S6 Stingray? And I think there's 2 different answers. Without any attachments at all, this weapon is still good, a solid 7 out of 10. The 2 things that really keep it in check is, first of all, it's a ballistic weapon, so you have to account for the travel time through the air and lead your targets. And also at long range, it's a 5-bullet kill, and to hit all your bullets like that is pretty difficult with this weapon. So that's kind of what keeps it in balance. However, as soon as you throw that operator mod on, without any other attachments, without rapid fire, without long barrel, this weapon goes from a 7 out of 10 to like a 13 out of 10. Keep in mind that every other weapon in the game that has high caliber, the only attachment that really makes a difference time to kill wise by a substantial amount, yes, I know rapid fire does as well, high caliber just affects it way more, you have to get headshots with those. With this weapon, with the operator mod, you could shoot them in the baby toe and they would still deal that extra damage as well. And because of that, it is just so good. Not to mention that 33 millisecond time to kill is just bananas. So the one thing you do have to remember is the one thing that balances this weapon out is that it's not a hit scan weapon. It's a ballistic weapon, so it takes time to travel through the air and hit the target. So you have to lead your targets a bit. It takes a little bit of a learning curve to get used to. But with the stats on this thing, it is just ridiculous. So to answer the question, the big question of the day, is this weapon paid to win? It's a pretty easy answer. God, yes it is. This weapon with the operator mod is by far the best weapon in the game by a long shot, and because of that, it's pay to win. The only way you can get this thing is through reserves, so that answers the question pretty easily. So after seeing the stats here and really looking at them, it's pretty clear that Treyarch knows what they're doing here. Look at the Vendetta. The Vendetta is an okay weapon, but compared to this thing, it's nothing. It seems like Treyarch is putting the better weapons intentionally just in reserves. But hey, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think this weapon's as good as I do, or do you think I'm completely wrong? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see here and want to stay up to date on all my videos, the best way to do so is make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you have notifications on, and as always guys, if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out guys.
Listen.